We can look at key or critical processes. We can look at reputation or image, because for some that might be the most important. We can look at local environment. If I'm a nuclear power plant, that's a pretty important one. We can add other ones. If I'm a patent office, I can add specifically within assets I want patents. If I make vaccines, it could be, what about production of my vaccines? It could be a production process. So I'm not saying we have answers for all of these, but we're looking at the complexity of the problem that we're trying to wrap around. Trend of threat. Is that important or not? Is it a threat that we anticipate will increase or that we anticipate will remain the same? What do we base that on? It's fairly important to know, because it does mean for the future, if I invest here, that might be smart, and I don't have to put more money in it later on. And I don't have a bigger threat that I'm allowing to grow. How long do I want to project outwards? If I'm going to invest in critical infrastructure protection for airports, do I want to know and project a threat that's 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out? And what does that mean for my planning? What does it mean for R&D, and how do I put that into my process when I look back at projection? In terms of measures for a lot of facilities, including in critical infrastructure protection, they don't really look at what the threat is. They haven't looked if the threat's changed and if the measures that I have to protect against that threat are still correct. So if you think mentally, let's take a nuclear power plant, let's say that's a piece of critical infrastructure, we'll go to Borselen, okay? And Mr. Snyder and me travel down to Zeeland, and we have a big nuclear power plant. What are we doing? We're taking a look at what do we see. We're going to map and inventory what we see as those threats, rate them, so we have some idea of where does that threat stand and how high do we see the likelihood. Then we take a look at what's the security of this critical infrastructure protection. What does that tell me? It tells me that I know what the security consists of and how I can rate it. And of course there's different diagrams for that. And when you think about what a security should consist of, and this is a good one for critical infrastructure, there's only really three things you need to look at. It's the three gateways and the three phases. The gateways means how can I threaten some piece of infrastructure or even a whole chain. There's only three ways to do it. Okay, and the ways to do it is I can attack it digitally. I can do it through people. I can infiltrate people. I can place people. I can let people on the inside do the wrong things. Or literally in the physical domain, I can walk through the door. So it's my windows, my locks, my fences, everything that protects me. It's the only three ways in which you can essentially threaten something.
This is the time to do it. Why not? Are there any questions left?
So comprehensive and everybody's hungry.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, then thank you very much, Glenn, for this enthusiastic explanation of the threat in an international environment, and especially also a focus on the Netherlands. There's certainly a lot of things to discuss about when we are going to discuss this tonight. I wrote down a few items like the threat is very widespread. Make an inventory if you want to know where it is. And also I learned that public events also is a kind of a sector, and this is for me also something new and something to discuss perhaps tonight in our group. Thank you very much again for this enthusiastic way of presenting. Also for you, Glenn,
hey.
one nice chocolate letter.
Thank you very much.
And
appreciate
pleasure.
Thank you.
I think it is necessary to